Hey everybody, Movie Reviewer Next Door here, and I'm back with another review. And this time I'm doing another little mini series. I've been thinking about going through some of the, you know, movies with sequels that I have, because I have a thing down there that's just movies that have series in them, or that have multiple entries. And I wanted to rewatch again The Man with the Iron Fists. It's a 2012 martial arts action film directed by RZA, and it stars RZA, Russell Crowe, Lucy Liu, Jamie Chung, Dave Bautista, Kung Lee, Rick Yoon, and Byron Mann. In this film, uh, in feudal China, a blacksmith who makes weapons for a small village is put in the position where he must defend himself and his fellow villagers. So, what do I think of The Man with the Iron Fists? Well, I'd say this is on the very underrated list for me, as I fucking love this movie. I always have. I've seen this 4 times now, and I still am smiling ear to ear with pure unbridled joy every time I see it. I Why don't more people like this? Do people not understand what it's going for? Do people not understand that it's not trying to be a work of art, or that it's not trying to be an Oscar film? Cuz shit like that confuses me. Like, this is obviously trying to be a martial arts action movie, like a send up to classic martial arts films from China and Hong Kong. But then they watch it and they're like, "No, it sucks. The acting's bad." Maybe you shouldn't have watched it. But let me get to the cast. Um, RZA plays Blacksmith or Thaddeus. I think he does a good job, given this is his first, to my knowledge, his first starring role. I think he is admirable in the acting, and in the fight scenes, he's actually not that bad. He doesn't have a ton of fight scenes because this is kind of an origin story for him getting the Iron Fists. But I do think he did a good job in the certain scenes of emotional stuff. I think he does a good job doing pain. I think there's something here. I can see why he's in other films. I did really enjoy him in Nobody. Russell Crowe plays Jackknife. He is a man sent over by the Emperor to scout out the gold that's being transported. Russell Crowe steals the show in many scenes. He is having so much goddamn fun in this role, playing a boozed out colonel who loves women, loves booze, and he's got a very interesting gimmick to him with the knife that is a gun, a knife. It shoots metal discs that impale your throat. It is a really fucking cool weapon. Lucy Liu plays Madame Blossom. She owns a brothel with a bunch of prostitutes that are also trained in fighting, as well as she. She has a really cool fan that has like blades on it, and she uses it to like defend herself many times. Apparently, originally Lucy Liu's character wasn't going to have a fight scene with one of the main villains, but she convinced RZA to do it, which I am glad that she did, because she's a very entertaining character. Jamie Chung plays Lady Silk, the love interest of Thaddeus. I think she does a good job. Maybe she could have had a little bit more screen time, but what are you going to do? It's not a super long movie. Dave Bautista plays Brass Body. He's the one that becomes kind of the main villain. There really isn't a full main villain, and I'll explain that. But I think he does a good job being menacing. I think he has some cool fight scenes. He's got his gimmick, the brass body, where he can't be penetrated by blades. Kung Lee plays Bronze Lion. It is a good thing that they didn't give him much dialogue, because I think he's a better facial and physical actor than he is dramatic. So, but I didn't mind him in the film. Rick Yune plays Zen Yi, or the X-Blade. He has a suit of basically thorns or blades and stuff and he can like shoot stuff out of his wrists. Every character in this has a really interesting gimmick. Um, but he he does a really good job in the fight scenes as well. He's a good actor, and Byron Mann as Silver Lion, a lot of fun, really hamming it up as the villain, and that's what I like to see. And all in all, this is just a treat to watch for someone like me who loves the old Hong Kong 70s, 80s, 90s action style. One of my favorite action film is from Hong Kong. Hard Boiled. I have it under my bed, but Hard Boiled is legit one of my favorite action movies ever. It may not be a martial arts film, but I do love martial arts films. This specifically kind of has a similar action style to Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, and also DOA Dead or Alive, which I said in my review of that. I'm sorry about my eyes. I'm got allergies. But it is one of those that I know controversial opinion. I enjoyed DOA more than Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I thought Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon was a bit too serious, and a lot of the fight scenes were really kind of dumb to me. I didn't like the floaty stuff, but in DOA they acknowledge that it's kind of dumb, and so does this movie. This movie isn't taking itself insanely serious. It takes itself serious when it needs to for certain emotional beats. But overall, this film knows what it is. It is a send up to classic martial arts cinema, Chinese, Hong Kong, and even anime in a way. The style of the action is very anime esque, and I think Corey Yun, who did the fight choreography for the Transporter films, I think he directed the first Transporter film. Um, he also did the fight choreography for, I think, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon and DOA, which is why there's the similarities. Correct me if I'm wrong. But I think he was the perfect guy for the job because if you're going to make a send up to martial arts movies and you don't have a like well-known fight choreographer doing it, doing like the action, I think you're going to lose a lot of what you're going for. And what RZA is going for here is like going after my heart cuz I had a face full of glee watching this again and remembering what I loved about it. I'm sorry. My eyes are so watery. I've been sniffling all day. But yeah, it's again, it's not going to win any like awards for like acting, but the acting here every actor in this knows what they're in. They're not giving like Oscar caliber performances because they know that oh my god, they know that this is a send up to those films. And Lucy Liu, it wouldn't surprise me if she's in this kind of as a reference to her being in Kill Bill, because Quentin Tarantino and Eli Roth are also involved in this. And if you don't know, Quentin Tarantino did Kill Bill Volume 1, Volume 2, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs, have the set of his movies up to Django Unchained over there. And Eli Roth, who did Cabin Fever, Hostel, which I'm not a big fan of. I didn't mind Cabin Fever. I loved the Death Wish remake. But both of them, I think, this feels like a movie that Tarantino would have made back in the day when he was still doing like Kill Bill. This feels like kind of a spiritual successor in a way. And I know I just keep gushing over this movie, but it's so much fun. It really is. It's not the worst paced. Given that RZA is a first-time director, which I'm guessing Eli Roth kind of co-directed this, RZA has a really nice style, and it really does feel like the editing of a Tarantino. Oh, uh-oh. a Tarantino or like an old school martial arts action movie. It you have these like section things that slide in, and you have the like the split diopter shots, and I think he really has a good eye for the camera. He's made two other films, Love Beats Rhymes and Cutthroat City. One of them's a romance, one of them's a crime movie. Maybe I'll watch the crime movie. Looks kind of interesting, has some interesting cast members. Wesley Snipes in it, Ethan Hawke. And he's working on a new movie called Blood Brother. So maybe I'll look out for that too. But like the quote on the back says, a badass modern epic, I can agree with that. I think, like right here, Quentin Tarantino presents The Man with the Iron Fist, an epic action adventure inspired by classic kung fu movies. That's all you need to know. You don't need to know who's in it. The actors that are in it are just the icing on the cake. I do like Dave Bautista, actually. I like him in this type of movie where he's showing off his fighting and doing a little bit of acting along the way. Um, but this is also a film, I feel like because RZA was the director, he chose to make the blacksmith character, Thaddeus, not just the de facto main character, but he kind of made everybody the main character. Because you have Rick Yoon's character, X-Blade, you have Jamie Chung has her own things, Brass Body, Jackknife, Madame Blossom, all of them have a lot of screen time. And even if their characters aren't the most deep, I get the feeling that more time was given to the characters because he showed partially because he is the director and he wanted to build this kind of world. And you might say, oh, maybe the film should have been a bit longer. Maybe. I watched the unrated cut, which is, let's see, 12 minutes longer than the theatrical. Of what I saw, I don't think much could be cut out. I guess maybe some extra blood or gore or something. This is a very bloody movie, I will say. This is very much in the vein of films like Ricky-O's The Story of Ricky, which I will say it's not as gory as that. Kill Bill, Hard Boiled, especially John Woo. I feel some John Woo inspiration here. There is a scene that directly references John Woo in. There's a scene in the um in like a playhouse or like a where there's a singer, and it's Sally Ye from the film Killer, and she's singing a song called "Shallow Drunk Life," which was the theme of that film. And I thought it was very cool of them to bring her back and her to return and play the song, because I was like, oh, wait, I remember that. That was in The Killer, which a lot of people say is John Woo's crowning achievement over Hard Boiled. I can't bring myself to say that because Hard Boiled made me feel more emotions. I think the action was a bit tighter on that one. There's some really good action in The Killer, don't get me wrong. The shootout at the end is insane, but it's nowhere near the insanity that Hard Boiled becomes, where the last half of the movie is basically a big, long, extended action scene. It's nowhere near as insane. But I do think it's really cool that RZA does legitimately care about this genre. It doesn't feel like he's making something just to please another country. Um, and I think that he really understands how directing works and how editing works, because this film does feel very accurate in what it's going for. Again, a a loving send up to classic martial arts films. And I know I keep saying that, but I don't want to spoil anything in this. This is a movie that I 100% do not want to spoil because I think people should just watch it. Do not listen to bad reviews. Do not. If you want a film that specifically is a love letter, I mean that, a love letter to films like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, Kill Bill, Hard Boiled, directors like, again, Choi Hark, Ringo Lam, John Woo, um, whoever did Riki-Oh, the story of Ricky, which I wonder where that guy is. I'd love for him to make another movie. Then you should watch this. Yes, there's some American actors. Well, no. Now that I think about it, I don't think there were any American actors in this. I was about to say Russell Crowe is an American actor. I guess you could say white, but you could also argue that Chinese people or Asian people in general could be white. But you've got Lucy Liu, like, again, Russell Crowe, Lucy Liu, RZA, Jamie Chung, Dave Bautista, Kung Lee, Byron Mann, Rick Yoon, like, just a packed cast of actors that I feel were all very well cast. I don't see any of the casting decisions in this as poorly done. There's even Rick Yoon's like servant that goes along with him that's played by a Chinese rapper. And I thought he wasn't that bad. Like, I think RZA knows how to direct his actors. I think RZA should go into directing. There's a lot of people on IMDb really pounding on this movie, saying it's like the worst movie they've seen that year. There's no fucking way in hell. With how visually gorgeous this film is and very well choreographed the fights are. Yeah, there's some cons that I can forgive because of the stylized look this film's going for. The CGI blood isn't that great. There are a lot of practical effects though, which I will say the fact that they mix those is fine. They at least most of the CG effects, the CG blood effects are mixed with practical. Even when they aren't, it doesn't take me out of the film. It more makes me feel like they're going for a stylized look to the violence, and I can fuck with that. I'm fine with it. Um, and oh, also the score by RZA and Howard Drawson, who Howard Drawson returns for the sequel, which I'm not gonna watch the sequel tonight. Maybe tomorrow night. I have work to do. But I think they did a really great job mixing this kind of hip hop, soul, and kind of Western feel to everything that made it both feel like a loving send up to the scores of those films in the past and also kind of fresh and new. And I think this is also trying to get in the African American audience, especially given RZA being part of the Wu-Tang Clan, which I am a fan of the Wu-Tang Clan's music. I do really like them. Um, um, and I think that will. I mean, if it didn't, it should have brought more people in. And the fact that this bombed pisses me off. It did make more than its budget. The budget of this film was 15 million, which I will say this film, given the amount of well-known actors from the time that are in it, I'm surprised it cost this little. But the film doesn't look cheap. At no point did this film look cheap to me. The sets are fantastic. The locations are gorgeous. They picked some really nice places in China to film. Um, Again, the editing. This film is better edited than fucking Bourne Identity. And Bourne Identity is considered like one of the best action movies ever. If that's true, this is one of the best action movies of all time. I don't know if I'd go that far because I haven't seen every action movie or as many as a lot of people. But I do think this is a very good directorial debut for sure. And I mean, the reason I gave it as high of a score as I did is because, especially given what they had to work with, a director who's never directed before, and it came out this fucking good. Yeah, I fucking loved it. You can really see the passion in every frame. Like, and there are some moments of legitimately heartbreaking moments between characters. There's these two characters, the Geminis, who basically are yin and yang with each other. They're a couple, and when the woman dies in the man's arms, and then at the end you see they've formed like a yin yang as they die, as their hands are touching and the camera's spinning around them. It's a really beautiful moment in an otherwise kind of, cheesy, or not cheesy, I hate that word, otherwise kind of not too self-serious movie, but it has its moments that I think really work to make it feel a bit more like there's stakes to it. It doesn't feel like people are just defending themselves from things that are impossible to dodge, or it doesn't feel like a superhero movie in that way. I can see some people drawing comparisons, but I myself thought it was a lot better than anything Marvel's put out in the past 2 decades, I'd say. Almost 2 decades, because Punisher is still my favorite comic book movie. Um, oh yeah, I forgot. Gordon Liu from Kill Bill Volume 2, 36 Chamber of the Shaolin. Um, he is in this as the abbot. And apparently, in the behind the scenes, RZA said that this was meant to be a reference to his character in the 36th Chamber of the Shaolin, or Master Killer, where he has basically become the abbot at this point. He's become the leader, and this is supposed to be a reference to that character, as in, this is where he is now. And I actually really love that. Even though I haven't seen this film, I'll take his word for it. But I think that's a really cool thing to do, since, of course, no one's ever going to make a sequel to that. And it would be kind of dumb to make a sequel to that now, especially given how shitty China is for filming stuff. And I mean, you can basically not make an R-rated movie there, and Chinese government has to look over everything. But I'm glad that he gave Gordon Liu a bit more of backstory, especially himself. Pam Grier also makes an appearance in Thaddeus's backstory, and there's just so much I could say about this movie. It's it's got some very visually gorgeous scenes, especially the fight in the brothel near the end. The way that the prostitutes they fight is very interesting. Everybody has their own fighting style. It all feels fresh. You don't feel like one fight scene is blending into another because they're all very different. Um, Again, the gimmicks that the characters have really make them feel like their own things. One scene in particular that I thought was very interesting and something I really hadn't seen done this way was the fight scene in the Hall of Mirrors between Silver Lion and X-Blade. I thought that was, while some people might find it disorienting, it's not like the entire fight scene is filmed that way. And I wish it was a bit more of a fight, but it was very visually interesting. And you see how much I'm geeking out about this movie? I love this movie. I will definitely watch this again. I will definitely show this to friends because I feel like they would get it the way I do. But yeah, again, if you want an insanely fun action movie with some pretty good performances again from pretty much everybody involved, then definitely go for this. Um, Again, my main complaint is some CGI blood doesn't look that great, but I can forgive it because of the style that this film is going for. And yeah, I hope other people will enjoy it as I do. And that was my review of The Man with the Iron Fists. Uh, if you've seen the film, let me know in the comments down below. If you have any recommendations, let me know as well. And movie reviewer next door.